Welcome to Wealthfinity, where we uncover the truth about money and finances. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects millions of people: the budget for rent. You may be shocked to learn just how much of your income is going towards keeping a roof over your head. Stay tuned as we explore the numbers and offer tips on how to save on rent without sacrificing your lifestyle. Percentage of your income should be used. When it comes to budgeting for housing, it's important to consider how much of your income should go towards rent. There is no one-size-fits-all answer to this question, as the amount you should spend on rent will depend on your individual financial situation. However, there are some general guidelines that can help you determine what percentage of your income is a reasonable amount to spend on rent. One commonly recommended guideline is the 30% rule. This rule states that you should not spend more than 30% of your gross income on housing expenses, including rent and utilities. This rule is often used by financial experts and housing organizations as a benchmark for what is considered affordable housing. While the 30% rule can be a helpful starting point, it is not always realistic for everyone. For example, if you live in a high cost of living area, you may find that it is difficult to find a place to live that fits within this guideline. In this case, it may be necessary to spend more than 30% of your income on rent. However, it's important to keep in mind that the higher your rent, the less money you will have available for other expenses such as food, transportation, and savings. Another important factor to consider when budgeting for rent is the type of rental property you're interested in. Apartment rentals, for example, will typically be more expensive than renting a room in a house or a shared apartment. Additionally, you'll want to factor in the cost of any additional amenities or services that you may need or want, such as parking, storage, or laundry facilities. Ultimately, the percentage of your income that you should spend on rent will depend on your individual financial situation and priorities. However, as a general rule of thumb, it is best to aim to spend no more than 30% of your income on rent, and to make sure that your housing expenses are in line with your overall financial goals. The 30% rule is a useful guideline for determining how much of your income should be used for rent, but it's important to keep in mind that the percentage may vary depending on your individual financial situation and priorities. It's important to budget your income in a way that allows you to afford other expenses and still meet your financial goals. Monthly budget for rent. Renting a home or apartment can be a significant expense, and it's important to budget accordingly. By setting a monthly budget for rent, you can ensure that you're able to afford your living situation while also saving money for other financial goals. In this video, we'll provide a comprehensive guide to setting a monthly budget for rent. 1. Determine your income. The first step in setting a monthly budget for rent is to determine your income. 1. This includes your salary, any bonuses or commissions, and any other sources of income, such as rental property income or investments. 2. Calculate your expenses. Once you know your income, it's important to calculate your expenses. 2. This includes not only your rent, but also other fixed expenses such as utilities, insurance, and transportation. 2. Additionally, you should also factor in any variable expenses such as groceries, entertainment, and dining out. 3. Set a realistic rent budget. With your income and expenses in mind, you can now set a realistic budget for rent. 3. A general rule of thumb is to spend no more than 30% of your income on housing expenses. 3. However, this may vary depending on your personal financial situation. 4. Consider your location. The cost of rent can vary greatly depending on where you live. 4. For example, rent in a major city is likely to be much higher than in a small town. 4. Be sure to factor in the cost of living in your desired location when setting your budget for rent. 5. Look for ways to save money. Even if you've set a realistic budget for rent, there may be ways to save money. 5. This could include looking for a roommate to split the cost of rent, or negotiating with your landlord for a lower rent. 5. Additionally, you should also consider the cost of additional expenses such as utilities and internet, as these can add up quickly. 6. Review your budget regularly. Finally, it's important to review your budget regularly. 6. This will help you to ensure that you're on track with your expenses and make any necessary adjustments. 6. Additionally, if your income or expenses change, be sure to adjust your budget accordingly. By following these steps, you can set a monthly budget for rent that works for you. Remember to be realistic, factor in all of your expenses, and look for ways to save money. With a budget in place, you'll be able to live comfortably while also saving money for other financial goals. Allocate for rent. When it comes to budgeting, one of the biggest expenses that many people face is rent. Whether you're a student living on your own for the first time, or a young professional trying to make ends meet, it can be tough to know how much you should be allocating for rent each month. One general rule of thumb is that you should be spending no more than 30% of your income on housing. This includes both rent and any other housing-related expenses, such as utilities or internet. So, if you make $3,000 per month, you should be spending no more than $900 on rent. Another factor to consider is the location of the rental property. If you choose to live in an area where the rent is higher, you might need to allocate more of your budget towards rent. However, living in a more expensive area might also mean that you have access to better public transportation, or more job opportunities, which could offset the higher rent. When budgeting for rent, it's also important to keep in mind that there may be additional costs associated with renting a property, such as a security deposit, application fees, and first month's rent. These costs can add up quickly, so make sure you factor them in when determining how much you should be spending on rent each month. In conclusion, the amount of budget allocated for renting a YouTube video can vary greatly depending on a number of factors, including the type of video, its length, and its intended audience. However, it's important to note that the cost of renting a YouTube video is typically quite low compared to other forms of advertising and can be a cost-effective way to reach a large and engaged audience. Additionally, the analytics provided by YouTube can give valuable insights on how to optimize the video and reach the target audience more effectively. Overall, renting a YouTube video is a smart investment for businesses and creators looking to promote their products or services and reach a wider audience.